leave Kai out of it.
Seems really hard to believe.
Please, wake up. This recovery is gonna be more difficult than I thought.
Trust my judgment when I tell you that Jack is not a threat to me.
Do you stand by your version of the events?
General Hospital latest update. Ava uncovers a dangerous secret about the car crash, just as Rick remembers something critical. Was it sabotage? Meanwhile, Christina faces Lucky's wrath and may finally pay for what she did. Plus, Joss's WSB test ends in a jaw-dropping twist. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. After watching these videos, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Ava learns an important fact about the car accident, and Rick has his own crucial memory about it. Today on General Hospital, Lucky confronts Christina about the accident, Lucy recruits performers for the nurses' ball, and Joss passes her final WSB test. Trina's Kai tells her there may be a chance for him to play football again. Trina asks how, and he tells her about the doctor Drew told him about and a procedure he could try. Trina finds this all really hard to believe. She asks why Drew would pay for this when he barely knows him. Kai says he consulted her mom about the procedure, and this could be his chance to play ball again, and it's all because of her. She says he gives her too much credit, but he insists she helped him accept his future could be more than just football. She pushed him to explore new things, which led to this. Curtis and Drew bicker, as usual. In Curtis' office, he tells Drew he's making Kai promises he can't keep. Drew says he is not promising Kai anything, and if he cared about Kai, he'd encourage him to jump at this opportunity. Curtis has encouraged Kai to look into it carefully. Drew says he is pushing Kai to embrace all his talents, just like he did for Curtis. Curtis would never be CEO if he didn't put him in the chair. Curtis admits Drew did give him the job, but he proved he was worthy, only for Drew to stab him in the back. He tells Drew that he only focuses on things working out in the end for him, not the carnage that comes with it. Michael became collateral damage in Drew's quest for Willow, and he doesn't want to see the same happen to Kai. Drew only wants to help Kai, so Curtis tells him not to set him up for a fall. Drew has a habit of helping people until they are of no use to him, and then he drops them. Joss rats out Vaughn. At the WSB training facility, Joss tells Jack what she saw happen at the coffee shop, that Vaughn retrieved a drop-off. Vaughn claims she's lying and he has no idea what she's talking about. Jack tells her these are serious accusations that could end Vaughn's career or hers. So is she sure what she saw? Joss recounts everything that happened and she didn't think much of it, but then Jack said Vaughn wasn't cleared for fieldwork. Vaughn argues she's trying to discredit him for points. Joss insists she is telling the truth, and Vaughn gives his recollection of events, saying that the woman in question never passed him anything. Jack finds Vaughn's version credible, and maybe Joss' mind was playing tricks on her. He asks if she stands by her version. Joss insists Vaughn is lying, and the packet was put in his right picket. Jack orders Vaughn to empty his pockets, and Vaughn hands over a blue envelope, which Jack pulls something out of that looks like an SD card. Jack asks, "What do we have here?" Jack tells Joss she just passed her final phase of training. Joss realizes this was all a test, and Vaughn throws the blue pack of spy gum at her and laughs. Jack says her training will always be ongoing, but they need her in the field and they have her first assignment. Joss says she's ready and asks where she's going. Carly and Jason come to an understanding. Jason stops by Carly's with tax documents from Diane from when he signed the Metro Court over to her. He also admits he can't stand this tension between them. She doesn't like it either and doesn't want to choose between him and Jack. Jason asks, "He means that much to you?" She says he doesn't, and this is about not putting up with people telling her who to give up on, even if that someone is him. Jason says he doesn't know the WSB world, and he doesn't know how to protect her from it. He also isn't used to outliving people such as Sam, and he doesn't want to lose her too. He doesn't trust Jack to protect her the way he would, as her life doesn't mean as much to Jack as it does to him. Carly cries she knows, but she hasn't felt this alive in a long time. She asks him to trust her judgment and that she knows what is best for herself. Carly remembers when the two of them had their first big breaking point in their relationship, which was when she slept with Sonny. That didn't end their relationship, and she doesn't want it to end now. Jason doesn't either, so he'll stay out of her relationship with Brennan. If she's right about him, she'll be happy. If he's right, they'll survive whatever danger Brennan brings to them together. Carly tells him that he's the most important person in her life. He says she'll never lose him, and they hug. Suddenly, Joss walks in and says, "I'm home." Back at the WSB, Jack tells Vaughn this mission is time-sensitive, so he's sending him in as Joss's backup. Rick wakes up. At the hospital, Lucy runs into Jordan and says she's so happy she's helping her with this year's nurses' ball, which is right around the corner. This is news to Jordan, who Lucy explains was assigned to help her after the 10th time she called Laura's office for help. She gives Jordan a list of participants she needs to convince to sign up to perform in the ball. Ava looks in on an unconscious Rick. She then asks Isaiah about his condition, but he can't give her information unless she's family. She isn't, and notes his family hates her, but she and Rick are seeing one another. Ava asks if she can at least sit with Rick, and Isaiah allows it on the condition she leaves if the family wants her to. Ava sits with Rick and begs him to wake up. She doesn't want their last words to have been angry ones. She tells him so many people need him, including Molly and herself. Ava thinks she should go so as not to abuse Isaiah letting her see him, but as she's walking out, Rick stirs awake. He asks about Elizabeth. She says Elizabeth is fine, but he's the one everyone has been worried about. She tells him they were in a car accident. Rick begins to remember and tells her the brakes failed. Dion checks on Liz, who has 3 pins in her leg and it's elevated in a cast. Liz asks about Rick, but Dion says there is no change. Lucky arrives with the things Liz asked for from home. Liz admits this recovery is going to be more than she thought, as she's completely helpless. She hates people having to do things for her, and she can't imagine sitting around like this for months. Liz asks Lucky to get Isaiah for her so she can ask to go home, but Lucky says she needs to be here and let herself heal. He says this could have been a whole lot worse. Liz knows Rick still hasn't woken up, and she keeps replaying that terrifying moment when the car ran off the road and she could have been killed. In the chapel, Christina prays and knows she did a bad thing. She asks God not to let Molly's dad die. Suddenly, Molly appears and Alexis is with her. Christina explains she came to check on Molly's dad and say a prayer. Molly heard and thanks her for being an amazing sister. They hug and Christina asks if there is any news. Alexis and Molly say Rick is out of surgery and has no major damage, but he hasn't woken up yet. Christina offers to do anything she can for her sister. Molly says from now on the Davis girls will stick together. Alexis suggests they go check on Rick. Molly, Alexis, and Christina arrive at Rick's room just as Ava rushes out and tells Isaiah Rick is awake. Molly heads in and Christina tells her mom she can't do this and needs air. She walks off, and Alexis snaps at Ava that she warned her once to stay away from her family. Ava says GH is a public space and she won't be chased away from Rick, who she cares about. Lucy interrupts to recruit them both to perform at the ball. Alexis says she never has and never will perform and walks off. Ava, too, has something to deal with and gets on the elevator. Molly sits with her dad and tells him how much she loves him and how she never says it enough. He says he loves her too and is proud of the woman she's become. Molly tells him how lucky he is, and Rick flashes back to the accident. He recalls for a moment waking up behind the wheel and seeing Christina standing there looking at him. Back in Liz's room, Lucky knows how independent Liz is, but many people love her and want to help her, so let them help. She says he'll have to bear with her as she learns to ask for help. Dion interrupts to let Liz know that Rick has woken up. Dion leaves them, and Liz knows Lucky blames Rick for the crash. She asks him not to, as sometimes accidents happen. Lucky has to step out when Dion returns to check Liz's vitals. He gets a text from Christina begging to see him now. Lucky meets with her in the chapel and she asks if anyone knows what she did. Lucky says not yet and then demands she tell him everything about how she almost killed Liz. Back at Aurora, Jordan interrupts Curtis and Drew's argument. She needs to talk to Curtis, but this also involves Drew. She tells them Lucy wants them to perform at the nurses' ball. Drew would rather make a donation, but she says the ball's expenses are being covered by Jen's. Jordan explains that Lucy insists she'll discover their hidden talents. Jordan gets Drew to agree, which forces Curtis to do the same so as not to be outdone by Drew. At Trina's, she and Kai are making out when Lucy bangs on the door and yells, "Hello, hello!" Trina knows Lucy won't go away and invites her in. Lucy is thrilled to meet Kai Taylor and tells them she's recruiting talent for the nurses' ball, and she is signing them both up to perform. Ava gets answers. Ava heads to the garage where Rick's car was towed. She pretends it was her car, and the man explains it's totaled and headed for the compactor. She asks if he can look at it and find why the controls failed for her insurance claim. The mechanic returns later and tells Ava this is not good and that the brakes on her car were deliberately cut. On the next General Hospital, Ava questions Elizabeth as Rick declares he remembers something about the accident. Today's next update, Jason suspects Jocelyn's lying. Lucky warns Christina must pay. Ava quizzes Liz. General Hospital reveal that Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, will suspect Jocelyn Jax, Eden McCoy, is lying while Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, warns Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Monsey must pay. Ava Jerome, Maura West, will also quiz Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, so here's what GH fans can expect. For starters, Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ali, will acknowledge that she understands Kai Taylor's, Jens Austin Astrup perspective. Why should I miss out on doing something that I love doing so much? Trina asks in Monday's preview video. It sounds like Trina will put herself in Kai's shoes and get why he's so eager for an opportunity to get back on the football field. Even if it means trusting this fishy offer from Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson. At the hospital, Elizabeth will get suspicious when Ava pays her a visit and starts asking a bunch of questions about the accident. Liz won't understand the angle Ava's working, but Ava will secretly be following up on what she learned about Rick Lansing's Rick Hurst cut breaks. It surely won't be too hard for Ava to figure out Christina is responsible, so she'll have to determine the best way to use this information to her advantage. In Rick's room, he just remembered something from the night of the accident. Rick recalled Christina standing at the crash site looking panicked, but will he go through with spilling that crucial puzzle piece? Even if Rick tells someone like Ava or Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grahn, he'll probably leave Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganos, in the dark while he tries to put all this together. In the chapel, Lucky will snap that Christina went too far this time and needs to pay for it. However, Christina will beg Lucky to keep his mouth shut since she could ruin her relationship with Molly all over again, not to mention she could land in prison. Will Lucky be willing to stay silent in the end? Since it'll keep the story going and put him in a complicated situation with Liz, Lucky should continue keeping Christina's secret for drama's sake. Over with Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, she'll try to talk to Jack Brennan, Chris McKenna about Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart. Brennan will want to discuss Anna herself instead and will voice concerns about the trouble she's landed in. At Carly Spencer's, Laura Wright place, she'll ask about Jocelyn's trip to Easter Island, the fake one she didn't actually take. Jocelyn has really been undergoing WSB training, so her story won't quite add up for Jason. Jason will apparently poke holes in Jocelyn's version of events, so she'll have to be careful about how she handles this. "I didn't know that you'd been to Easter Island," an annoyed Jocelyn says in Monday's preview video. Although Jason may not be able to nail down Brennan's involvement or make any predictions about what's next, he may sense that something's up. General Hospital spoilers say Jason may realize Jocelyn's deceiving him as well as Carly about her trip, so stay tuned for updates on all the challenging news ahead. Today's next update, Kim Nero returns with the real Drew exposing Shiloh as fake Drew. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson, has not been acting like himself for some time now. While there are several theories that could explain this, a brain tumor, Drew being traumatized by being beat up in prison, but another theory is that he is not actually Drew at all. That he is actually David Henry Archer, aka Shiloh, last played by Kobe Ryan McLaughlin, the long-thought dead cult leader of Dawn of Day, posing as Drew. The history of Kim Nero, Drew Kane, and Shiloh. Shiloh and Drew have history that goes way back. They knew each other when they served in Afghanistan. There were secrets that Shiloh was hiding, and was afraid that Drew would remember. Kim Nero, last played by Tamara Braun, also has a history with both of them and was Drew's love interest for some time. She has been deeply in love with Drew for years and even pursued Franco Baldwin, Roger Howarth, when he had Drew's memories. Could Kim still be hanging on to the real Drew and somehow let Shiloh take over Drew's life by giving him the drive containing Drew's memories? Perhaps the real Drew has been with Kim this whole time, raising her child with her, and she made a deal with a very much alive Shiloh? How Shiloh is still alive and how he took over Drew Kane's life. Shiloh was shot by Sam McCall, Kelly Monaco, in 2019, after Shiloh attempted to kill Jason Morgan, Steve Burton, aboard the Haunted Star. Shiloh then fell overboard and drowned. His body was found and identified, but there is always the possibility that he survived. Perhaps he had a drug with him that took it while he was in the water to make himself appear dead. He could have quickly left the morgue after his body was identified, and left town intending to come back as Drew eventually. Drew was recently presumed dead in a plane crash at this time, but things got complicated later when Drew showed up alive in 2021. After Drew went to prison for Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, for inside training a couple years ago, Drew was beaten badly in prison. Drew could have started having memory issues as a result. Shiloh would have had plastic surgery at this time to look like Drew. This is where Shiloh struck a deal with Kim. She can take Drew away and nurse him back to health, and in exchange he can have the disc with Drew's memories on it so he can get it implanted in his brain. Shiloh has Drew's memories and his own as well. He then has taken over Drew's life, and Kim now can have Drew all to herself. The real Drew Kane starts remembering. Kim and Drew have been away from Port Charles for a long time now, raising Kim's baby. Kim becomes nervous as Drew starts getting his memories back, and warns Shiloh that Drew is remembering things. Shiloh tells her that she must stop him at all costs and convince him to stay away from Port Charles. He must have Willow Corinthos, Caitlin McMullen, and live the life that he was robbed of, and he must continue to be Drew. Kim isn't sure if she can convince Drew not to go back to Port Charles now that his memories are returning. Kim Nero tells Drew Kane that Shiloh is posing as him. Now that Drew has his memories back and is intent on going back to Port Charles, Kim would be forced to confess that Shiloh is still alive and has taken over his life. Drew would be livid with Kim for letting Shiloh do this, but Kim says that she did it out of love. Drew would be deeply hurt by Kim's actions and head to Port Charles, and Kim would follow. Kim Nero and Drew Kane expose Shiloh as fake Drew Kane. Kim and Drew return to Port Charles and expose Shiloh, shocking everyone, especially Willow, who can't believe that she got caught up in Shiloh's web again. However, this would explain the behavior that Drew has been exhibiting, and the unscrupulous actions that he has taken against many residents of Port Charles. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that Shiloh is pretending to be Drew? Did he make a deal with Kim? Will Kim and the real Drew expose Shiloh as a fraud? Thanks for watching this videos. Please hit the subscribe button for more updated news.